David, for all this time, I thought he was just from Southern Ohio. You know. David, thanks very much. Spoken like a common sense guy who is in business. He's a mayor, he's chairman of the party, but he also gets the fact that, yeah, you can't keep spending more than you take in. And eventually, you got to figure out a way to get the private sector back engaged. So the president says private sector is doing fine. Do you believe that? No. Folks, do you agree with me that we cannot afford 4 more years of Barack Obama?
Yes.
This is his solution. The private sector is doing fine. He said all we need to do is to take your tax dollars, send them to Washington, have Washington take out its cut, have Washington then send it back to the states, have the states then go out and hire public employees. Does that make sense to you?
No.
Is that how to get the economy moving?
No.
That's his solution. So he's in Cincinnati today. I'm glad he's coming to Ohio. I really am. I hope he'll go on the shop floor and talk to some workers in the greater Cincinnati area. Hope he'll come out to Warren County and talk to some small business owners.
Yeah.
Like David.
He wouldn't dare.
I know whether some shops are ready.
But if he does that, you know what he's going to find? He's going to find the private sector's not doing just fine. People are worried. They're concerned. There's a reason people are not investing in companies to expand jobs, plant, equipment. It's because they're concerned about the federal policies. David's exactly right. Part of it is the deficit and the debt. Former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said the same thing. He said the biggest national security problem facing our country right now is our national debt and deficit because it doesn't enable us to be strong as a country. And if we're not strong as a country, we can't project force. We can't help to make the world safer. And that's what's happening. But it's more than that. It's his economic policies. The president said back in 2008, when he was running for office, complaining about the Republican campaign, he said, when you're out of fresh ideas, you turn to stale tactics to attack your opponent because you don't want to talk about your record. He said this makes big elections about small things. That's exactly what he's doing right now. Don't you agree with me?
Yes.
He's making a big election about small things. He's attacking Mitt Romney on a personal basis. Why? Because he doesn't want to talk about his record. And you can see why. The economic policies that he's put in place in combination with his growing debt and deficit, he's added $5 trillion, remember, to the debt, has made it harder, not easier, to create jobs here in Warren County, in the state of Ohio, and in America. Over 8% unemployment for the longest time period since the Great Depression. Middle-income workers here in Warren County, Ohio, and the United States have seen their income go down, not up, during this presidency. At the same time, they've seen their home prices go down. At the same time, they've seen their gas prices go up. People talk about manufacturing coming back. Gosh, all of us hope that happens, don't we? Unfortunately, what we learned last week is that manufacturing has taken a dip for the first time since the month after the recession ended. In other words, things are not going in the right direction. Consumer confidence, we just learned, is down. Lowest it's been in a year. Things are not going in the right direction. No wonder he wants to try to change the subject. But we're not going to let him do that, are we? No. We're going to tell the American people what's really going on. We're going to tell the American people that this economy is not achieving its potential, and therefore the American potential is not being achieved. America's destiny is not being achieved. The God-given opportunity we have as Americans to continue to lead the world is not being obtained and achieved because of the policies this administration is putting in place. This call center and the folks who are here today are doing a terrific job already in this campaign. Last go around in 2008, this call center was the tops in the state, time and time again. You remember that?
Yes.
Are we going to do it again this year? I just walked next door and had a chance to thank some of the folks who were making calls. I made some calls myself over the weekend at the Kenwood Victory Center, which we opened up on Saturday. I'm sure that this center is going to be packed. Because it's Warren County, because people care. And folks are not going to be here because they're Republicans. They're not going to be here because of some partisan reason. And it's not personal. It's about the future of our country. It's about the future of our community. It's about the future for our families. That's why we're going to do everything we can in this year, this important election year, to be sure that we do get a change in direction. We're fortunate because we've got a candidate on our side who gets it. He understands how to create jobs. After all, he's been in the private sector. And his private sector experience is exactly what we need right now, because he knows that it's not the government that creates jobs, it's the private sector that creates them. But you got to have policies out of Washington that give investors the confidence to be able to create jobs and opportunity. You've got to have the private sector know that you're going to have certainty and predictability on health care, on energy policy, on tax policy, on regulatory policy, all the things this administration has not done. They've made it harder, not easier, to create a job in Warren County, in Ohio, and in America, and we're going to change that. We have a candidate who has also been successful in everything he has done, not just the private sector. When he was asked to go run the Olympics, it was mired in debt and scandal. And he turned it around at a time when America needed a shot in the arm, right after 9/11. He made us proud, didn't he? Yes. We have a candidate who took, as governor of Massachusetts, a state that was $3 billion in deficit, and turned it around to a $2 billion surplus and rainy day fund. That's what we need to do in Washington, D.C. Now, he did that, recall, with an 85% Democrat legislature. So folks who say, gee, can't work with Congress because, you know, the Republicans and Democrats up there. Well, Mitt Romney did it with all Democrats. He figured out how to work across the aisle, get things done, get the spending under control, grow the economy. And by the way, during his time as governor, they cut taxes 19 times. So they had pro-growth policies in place, and he was able to do it working with Democrats. President Obama has not shown that kind of leadership. Instead, as David talked about, he's giving favors to his friends. Look at Solyndra, what happened there. It's a shame, because our tax dollars were used to go to companies, often donors of the president's. Those dollars were wasted. A lot of those jobs went overseas. Talk about outsourcing. Look where the dollars went in the stimulus. They went to Europe. They went to Asia. They went overseas. So, look, if we have the opportunity here in Ohio to make a difference, we're going to stand up, aren't we? Yes, we are. And we do have that opportunity. We're probably one of 10 states that's going to make the difference. 2 of the last 3 presidential elections, Ohio did make the difference as to who would be the next leader of the free world. It's an opportunity. It's also a responsibility for all of us to step forward, to tell our friends and our neighbors, folks we go to church with, people who are kind of wondering, gee, is Washington, ever going to change? Yes, Washington can change. Washington can be on the side of the working people of Ohio again by getting this economy back on track, delivering on the promise of America. Our destiny is still there. We just need the right leadership and the right policies to ensure that America becomes once again that shining city on the hill that Ronald Reagan talked about, that beacon of hope and opportunity for the rest of the world. Folks, we can do it. All we have to do is what I know this call center is famous for. A lot of hard work, reaching out to people, letting them know what the facts are, letting them know what the truth are. If we do that, we can get this state and this country back on track. Godspeed in your good work.